Alright guys, today we're going to get started on our little shop of horrors creatures. So the first thing that you need to do is open up your internet. We're going to go ahead and visit Glogster. You need to go ahead and log into your account. And once you log in, go to your class and then go to my profile. And when you get to my profile, you're going to scroll down just like you do every day to do the daily website. Click where it says week of September 19th through the 23rd. And you'll notice I have up your daily website and your video. Once you're done with that today, if you'll click on your proper place, if you're read 2, you're clicking here. If you're read 4, you're clicking here. When you click there, it's going to take you to your document. And if you'll just download that document, and it depends on what web browser you're using, just download it and then open up that web browser. When you open that document, it's going to give you the actual worksheet for today for you to follow along with. We're going to go ahead and get started and visit the website listed, actden.com. When you get to actden.com, you're going to come over and click where it says Graphics Den. And all I'm doing, guys, is just following these directions that are on the worksheet. Click on Library. Click on Little Shop of Horrors. And what I want you to do is click on each one of these little pictures. I'm going to start with the pear. And we're going to save each one of these images into your pictures folder. And you want to save all of them. I'm not going to save all of them because I'm not going to need all of them. But you are, so make sure that you save both the basketball and the football as well as all the rest of them. Once you have each one of those saved, you can go ahead and close out of Graphics Den. We don't need it anymore. And go ahead and open up Photoshop. When you open up Photoshop, what I want you to do is create a new blank canvas. It's going to be 8 inches by 8 inches. Make sure that your color mode is set to RGB. Press OK. And now you have a new blank canvas. Yours is probably going to open up white. My screen looks a little bit different because I'm doing this on a Mac. So all the buttons are the same, it just looks a little bit different. First thing I want you to do is come down and click on the foreground square. When you click on that, that brings up your color picker. Go ahead and choose a color of your choice. Press OK. And that changes that foreground color. Click the background color. Come choose a color of your choice. When you click OK, it changes that background color. Then if you'll come up here, we're going to click and hold. And we want to choose the gradient tool. That way we can make a pretty cool background. I'm going to come up here, make sure it's set on this first one so that I have those 2 colors. Remember, these 5 options give you different types of gradients, and it's up to you what kind of gradient you want to use. Once you've chosen that, you just come out and draw a line, and it creates a gradient. And it might take you 2 or 3 times before you find one you like. I'm going to come down and change my foreground color to white, just to add a little bit more pizzazz. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to choose this last little preset. This will kind of make some cool little designs. When you choose this last little preset, it's got the color you've chosen and then these little squares, which means transparent. You can come out and you can actually make shapes, which I just think is kind of cool. So I'll give you a few minutes or a few seconds to create your background. Make it look however you want to, and you can put as many colors as you want. It's your background. There we go. Mine's a little cluttered, but it's alright. Now what I want you to do is File, Open. And the first thing that we want to open up is our apple. When you open up your apple, it opens it in its own little canvas. So now you have two little windows. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to zoom in on our apple. So if you'll come down to the left side, click on the very last button, which is the zoom key. You'll notice when you click that, the options up here change. The most important part of these options is you have your plus zoom and your minus zoom. So that's how you can change between zooming in and zooming out. And I'm just going to come in and zoom in on my apple. When I do that, it kind of makes it to where you can't see everything. So I'm going to come down here in this bottom right hand corner and stretch it out. I actually zoomed too far in, so let me zoom out a little bit. That's much better. And now I can see all of my apple. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to select this apple. So I'm going to use the quick selection tool. It's the fourth button down. We want this top one. And when you select that, what it does is it gives you a little target. Okay? This is kind of like your pointer. To change the size of your pointer, if you look on your keyboard, you're looking for the brackets. They're right beside the key, the P key. And if you press the left bracket, it shrinks down that target. If you press the right bracket, it makes that target bigger. Now the smaller you have the target, the more precise it is. The larger you have it, the more kind of crazy it is. So I try to do about halfway. Then if you'll just come out and click, it'll select a part of your apple. And I call this coloring because if you'll click and drag, it'll start selecting the parts of the apple. Now, I accidentally got way too much, so I'm going to come up here to the options and click where it says negative. I'm just going to come out in this white space and click and drag around so that I don't have all of that white space. And then I missed a little bit over here, so I'm going to come up to my plus. I'm going to change the size of my target and try to color that little edge in so I don't have a lopsided looking apple. If for some reason you mess up when you're selecting, you can always press Control D, and that deselects everything. So you'll know that it's not selected because you won't see these little running little answer lines. Once you have that selected, if you'll come over and click on your Move tool, I'm just going to drag my canvas over so that I can see both my gradient and my apple. I'm going to click on my apple and hold on to it, and then drop it onto this new canvas. Once I've dropped that apple, I don't need my old apple, so I'm just going to close it. And now I have an apple on my gradient canvas. I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. And the way you do that is you're going to transform it. Now remember, the shortcut to transforming is Control T. When you click on that, it creates a little square around your apple. If you'll come to one of the corners and hold the Shift key, keep holding it, and drag, it's going to resize your apple. If you want your apple angled, you can bring your mouse out and you get that little curved arrow. Doo-doo. And when you're happy with the size of your apple and where your apple's at, if you'll press Enter, it sets that apple in. Alright, so now that we have our apple, let's go ahead and put eyes on him. So if you'll click File, Open, and go find your eyes. I'm going to drag this over so I can see both of them. We're going to do just like we did with the apple. I'm going to zoom in on whichever eye I want. And if it gets too big for your little canvas, just come out and drag it out so you can see the whole eyeball. I'm going to click on the quick selection tool and then come out and select my eye. And all I'm doing is clicking and dragging a little bit. Once I have that eye selected, I'm going to click on my Move tool. Make sure I can see both little canvases. I'm just going to click and drag that eyeball over. So now I have an eye. I'm going to go ahead and press Control T, transform that eyeball. And you can put your eyeball wherever you want because this is your monster. It can be as big as you want. I don't care because it is your eyeball. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to this layer and I'm going to rename it. That way I know what this layer is. So I'm going to right click on it, go to Layer Properties and name it Eye. I'm going to go ahead and click on my apple layer and do the same thing. That way I know what each of these layers are. So now I have 3 layers. I have my background layer, my apple layer, and my eye layer. Let's go ahead and create another eye layer. And here's a shortcut for it. Make sure you have your eye layer selected. So it's just purple or blue depending on what color your computer wants it to be. Right click and tell it to duplicate layer. I'm going to name this eye 2. And it doesn't look like you have a new layer because that eye is hidden right on top of your other eye. Now you can keep your eyes looking like this, or I'm going to make mine look a little bit crazy. I'm going to make sure this eye 2 layer is selected. I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and tell it to flip it horizontally. That way I have a cross-eyed apple. Control T it. Gonna angle it. Just like before, when I'm happy with my transformation, I'm gonna press Enter. Now remember, if you mess up, you can always do Alt Control Z and go back as many steps as you need to. Let's go ahead and add some eyebrows. The eyebrows are on the same canvas as the eyes, so I'm just gonna click on the eyes, come over and zoom out so that I can see everything. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to deselect this eyeball because we don't want to accidentally have like 3 eyeballs on our canvas. So I'm going to press Control D on my keyboard and that gets rid of those little running ants. Then I'm going to zoom in on whichever eyebrow I want. And the closer you get, the easier it is to select it. Go ahead and come over, click on my quick selection tool. And I'm going to select this eyebrow, just like I did with the eye and the apple. Click on my Move tool, drag it over. Once it's over here, I'm going to resize it with Control T. And yours does not have to look normal, it's your monster. Okay, then I'm going to come over and rename this layer. I'm going to duplicate that layer so that I have the same eyebrow. And if you want to use 2 different eyebrows, you are more than welcome to. You can make them as crazy as you want. Okay, I'm going to Control T it. There we go. I'm going to rename this layer Eyebrow 2. And now I've got eyebrows. And now I'm done with the eyes and the eyebrows. So I'm going to open up my nose. I'm going to do the same thing. Zoom in on whichever nose I want. Resize my canvas so I can see it a little better. Quick select it. Drag it over and transform it. And the good thing about these videos is if you ever get behind, you can always rewind and rewatch a part of it. So if you're lost already, just rewind and rewatch. I press Enter to set it. I'm going to name my layer Nose.